Welcome. I'm super excited. We have some very special guests with us today, and we're going to talk about a topic that I think many in our community say, nope, don't want to talk about it. I don't know anybody with it. It's not going to affect me. Well, surprise, it does. And we are all affected by it. We just don't realize how close it is to each and every one of us each and every day as we go about our community. So with that, I want to say welcome to Courtney.
Thank you.
And to Paula and Brad. I'm excited for the show. We're going to go on a wonderful journey. But before we get started, let's start with Courtney. Courtney, where are you from?
I am from Hutchinson, Minnesota. I am a college student here in Marshall. And I'm interning this semester with the Marshall Area Dementia Awareness Network.
Right.
So I'm thankful you asked me to join you today.
Yeah, wonderful. And we had some exciting news. She's going to graduate.
Yes, graduating.
So that's exciting news for her.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Yeah. And Paula and Brad, where are you guys from?
Marshall.
Marshall. Yep. Wonderful. So it's wonderful to have you here, and I am looking forward to our journey. So let's start. Every year, the Dementia Network here in Marshall does a very special event. And Courtney, could you share a little bit on that?
Yep, so we are doing the Walk for Memories Run and 5K. It will be on Thursday, June 16th from 4 to 7 at Independence Park, and they have food and booths for families and children. We'll have music, some drawings, and a ton of fun activities for everyone. So you can join for that.
Yeah, it's really a fun day. I mean, it's a great way for the community to come out and just take in the resources that are available in our community. I think that's a great event for those pieces, because I don't think a lot of people realize what's available here in Marshall.
Exactly.
And that's very important. And then all the vendors that are there.
Yeah.
They do an amazing job just to help you to understand and have fun for the day of the event.
Absolutely.
And I would say the third most important thing is that as the community comes out, we're supporting those who are walking that journey right now.
Yep, we are. I did want to add, too, that we are also having an online store, so if people want to purchase, we're going to have shirts and water bottles and stuff like that. That should be open through the month of May.
Okay.
And then again, I think the week of the walk. So another way to support and get people to see where you're coming from.
Yeah,
with the shirts
definitely.
on.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I think at the end here, we'll get that website connection so that they can see that, correct?
Yeah, yep.
Okay, we will get that.
Sounds
So be
good.
looking for that. But at this special walk every year, we always invite a special family to join us as we try to honor them and their journey. And this year, we have two very special people with us here. Brad and Paula are here, and we're going to learn a little bit about their journey. And so we're going to take the journey as slow as we can, and we may need to take a little break, but we will just walk that journey together. And that's the most important thing, isn't it? Yep, that's right. So let's start. How this journey started. How did it start? How did you begin to go, maybe there's something, maybe not?
Yeah, so I would say a lot of the symptoms maybe that were being exhibited were indeed covered up, first off, by the pandemic. So a lot of things Brad was forgetting to do or not remembering to do or were causing like another problem later on.
Yeah.
It may have been like with trying to go boating. We would go boating and he would not put things away, or the battery would be dead, and we couldn't figure out why the boat wasn't working. And so he used to take care of all of that.
Yep.
And one summer it was pretty frustrating trying to figure out why the boat wasn't working. And then a lot of stress from work, I think, and not sleeping well, and some of those symptoms. And then finally, leading up to right before Christmas, we had a new dog. It got let out of the house.
What kind of dog? Let's figure that out first.
Well, it was a puppy.
Okay.
It was one of those pandemic puppies.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it got hit by a car
Oh, no.
in front of our house. And it was,
Oh.
Yeah.
that was pretty hard, not just on us,
Yeah, it was.
Yep.
but our son.
Yep.
And so that was really tough.
Yep.
But after that, it
Yep.
opened my eyes and it said, something else is going on here. This is not right. Brad's forgetting too many things. And I had a sister-in-law say, are you sure he shouldn't go to the doctor? Well, most
did.
men sort of fight that. It took us a couple of months to,
Sure.
to finally make that first doctor appointment.
Yeah, I think that's a very important point out there. You know, when people are walking this journey or begin to walk it or begin to question it, watch this. I mean, really watch this. They're questioning, is this really it? Is this really the journey I'm going to be going down? Mm-hmm. And then something cues them off and you can see it tripped. You can see the trip in them. And just be aware of that whole thing. It's not just like, oh, we're going to deal with this now. We're just going to go in and it's going to go bing, bing, bing. It's that journey in that process. And you can see that through Brad and Paula. So, you know, I ask as you're watching that to really watch that journey come through them also.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, okay, so you got to December and you realized, yeah, we need to make an appointment.
Yeah.
So what happened then?
So we started with just the first doctor appointment, started in about maybe February or March. And then at first, you know, when you start with a new doctor, it's establishing care. So then they decide, or we kind of came to the conclusion there may be some depression.
Oh, sure.
So the first thing was depression, I've learned now, goes hand in hand with
Yep.
Alzheimer's or
Sure.
the dementia or whatever. But when you first get diagnosed, you're testing out, does this, and you wait to see if that depression medicine kicks in.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so you're hoping it does. You're trying to improve your sleep patterns, and
Right.
those were way out of whack for Brad.
Wow.
And you know, we weren't on the same page maritally, relationship-wise. We were
Yeah.
really fighting a lot, and it was really one of the hardest years of our marriage. It really, really was. And I just want to be honest and open about that. But
Yep.
you know, there were hurt feelings.
Yeah. And I think that's important, too, to hear on this journey that when you go to it, you, too, just care so much and love each other so much. You both want the best for each other, but you're both seeing it from such different points because of the disease. And you want to make sure you can do everything you can for Brad. And Brad wants to be the person he always was and
right.
still wants to be. So you get this clash. And then how do you work through that? And
Yeah.
I appreciate you sharing that journey was difficult that year.
Yeah.
So,
And so I just want to emphasize also all the people who prayed for us.
Yeah.
I want to thank them and be grateful for them.
Right.
Because people would say, what can I do for you, or how can I help? And I really didn't know what to say other than, would you just pray for us?
Yeah.
And so our faith became, even if we weren't on a good page together, I knew there were legions of people behind me praying for me.
Yeah.
And without that knowledge, I don't know that we could have continued on together. But then we started going,
steps forward, right?
yep, we needed to go to the doctor much more. So there was all last summer so many doctor's appointments that needed to be. And finally,
Went.
you
Super
had a
Bowl.
medical leave of absence from work.
Okay.
And so there were work issues. He was not completing tasks at
Okay.
work. So
Yeah.
that was really hard.
And I know that's not Brad. Brad always did his work.
Yeah.
So that was just another sign for you that something's not right here. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, in hindsight, work also forced us to go see some more doctors.
Okay.
So, as difficult as it was at work for him and being, on a probation at work, that was really hard to see him
Yeah.
going through that.
Yes.
So then I thought, all right, we need to keep on, and you need to press hard when you go to those medical appointments because
Yep.
it's really important to have an advocate that stands up.
Right. Right.
So it became a summer of doctor's appointments.
Yeah.
Wow.
It became this week here, that week there. We would go finally. They said, I think you've got enough red flags. We've ruled out a stroke, a brain tumor, all the big things.
Yay.
All the
That's
big
good.
things, right?
Yeah.
We're gone. And then they said, no, this driving thing is triggering, a neurology appointment. So then we were on the road to Sioux Falls.
Okay.
And so then those appointments down there trigger, even another set of appointments.
Yeah.
So you were doing one on top of another on top
Yep.
of another.
And so each time those test results would come back, the doctor would say, I think you need to do this, and then I think you should try this. And then finally we went to one in Watertown with a cognitive function testing
Okay.
exam, which is a very long,
It is.
hard, thorough exam. And that became a pretty conclusive, all these things added up together said, all right, here we go. This is what and then the doctor finally diagnosed him last August, I would
Last
say.
August, you finally
Yeah.
got the diagnosis.
And
Okay.
when I look back and I hear other people's stories, that was a fairly quick diagnosis. Other people have taken years
Yeah.
to get a diagnosis.
Yeah.
So it's a blessing we found out that fast.
Yeah.
Right.
And so we
Right.
look at things so much differently now. I try to have more patience, but there's a lot of times where he's out the door, and I'm like, no, we mowed the lawn already today, Brad. We don't
Yeah.
have to do it again.
He was just making sure, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Extra pieces.
Yeah.
So there's,
So you got the diagnosis last August. Mm-hmm. When you got the diagnosis, do you recall, was that a relief, or was it like relief and then where are we going to go now?
so I felt it was a relief. I thought it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's how I felt.
Yeah.
Because there's this better understanding then. And so then I was on I need to know as much as I can about this.
Yeah.
Right.
I was reading everything. I was looking online. The doctor sent you home from his office with pamphlets and
Sure.
brochures. And then I discovered ACE
Yep.
of
Southwest
Southwest Minnesota, and they had provided a class, and I was like, I need to take the class that helps you be a better caregiver.
Giver. Yep.
There was a series of classes I went to, and that was really good for me to
Right.
understand
Yeah.
Good work.
how
That's
to
good.
be a caregiver.
Yeah.
And we don't get it right. We still struggle at home.
Yeah.
And we still have to figure out a new solution to a problem, even
Yep.
just this week.
Yep. And I think that's very real. I think when you're walking through this journey, at least the stories I've heard, it isn't like you have, let's say, and I don't want to make light of this, but let's say you have diabetes. You know you got to watch what you eat, and you may have to take insulin. I think with this journey, every day is a new day, and you don't know what the journey holds. It's not like you can say, oh, check, check. It's like, okay, check, check, bump. Now
Yeah.
where do we find the next check, check?
Yeah.
Would that be a fairly
That's
accurate statement of your, you may go for days where it just goes check, 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 check.
Yep.
And then you may have these days in a row or weeks in a row where it's check, check, bump, check, check, bump, 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 check.
Yep.
Right?
Right.
That's true.
Yeah.
And so an example of that
yeah, give an
is,
example. That would be great.
so we do a lot of exercising now at the Y. There's a program there called Forever Well, and I want
Right.
to emphasize how healthy that has been for our journey.
Good.
But one of the things, Brad was runner. He likes
Yes.
to run. He would go down and get showered up after his run and
Oh,
go
sure.
into the men's locker room. And there was an incident one day where he thought somebody stole his
sure.
shoes or
Oh,
took
sure.
his shorts.
Oh, sure.
And they weren't stolen. They weren't in anybody else's locker.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they were just the shorts on underneath the jogging pants. And
Right.
but when he couldn't find it, he thought they were stolen.
Yeah.
So he had somebody.
That would be upsetting. I understand. For any of us.
Yep.
Yeah.
So now we don't go in the men's locker. We use the family locker room.
Oh,
now.
sure.
So I
Makes
can
sense.
help him process and just get things put away in the duffel bag.
Yeah.
Good solution.
Yeah. Finding a good solution.
And so now we don't. I mean, so we changed the way we do stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm
Yeah.
sure that's pretty normal for you on a daily basis.
Yeah.
What do you find, can you give, what's a typical day like for you guys? I mean, what's working for you right now? Maybe that'll be helpful to someone that's out there, that they'll
Yep.
say, okay, we're not physical people, but I'm seeing that you're doing this because it's a joy for him.
Right.
And I think a lot of us miss that when you walk this journey, you got to find where the joy is for the person with dementia and be in that joy versus, oh, we should do this. Find that joy.
Yeah.
And so,
So one of the joyful things I know Brad likes is taking a drive.
ooh.
He
That
does
sounds
like
fun.
to look at wildlife and whatever. And so one of the other things that fills me up with joy is delivering Meals on Wheels.
Sure.
So he's really good about holding the zipper bag with the hot food in it, and then he's looking around the whole time for the ride,
Taking in, yeah.
taking in where we're going.
Oh, wow. That's a beautiful
So that's
example of
fun.
how you combine both your
Yes.
joys into one event. He likes seeing things as they go around,
I do.
and you like volunteering and making an impact. And look at that, all came together.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And I do want to emphasize too, the Adult Community Center has been so welcoming and understanding and just accepting of who we are at the stage that we're at,
Right.
with such open arms and welcoming. So the social component, I mean, just being prepared not to isolate yourself when you get a disease like this, because the isolation can eat you up.
Yes.
And I just, they warned me about that. Even in a lot of the support groups, they said, you need need to get out and socialize, him and me.
Yes, we both need it. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
That's right.
I want to thank the Adult Community Center too.
Well,
for
thank you,
being-
Paula. But I think that's a really important part. Just hearing you say, don't isolate. And I think how often when you get a disease or you get something, and part of you just wants to go, okay,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna hover in my little shell here and
Right.
take the journey by myself. And
Yeah.
it's like, no.
Yeah.
There's a whole community out there willing to support you and walk alongside with you. So my question to you would be that as a community listening, what are some things you would think would be helpful as you're out in the community? You know?
Well, one of the things that's been hard is a lot of people will come up to Brad and say, "Hi, Brad," and I'll go, "Who are you?"
Yes.
Because when we walk away, I'll ask Brad, "Who was that?" And
Brad
he'll
will
go, "Somebody I worked with," and
Yep.
that's about the most I'll get.
Hey,
so
I'm impressed with that.
maybe a tip for people who come up and say hi is, "Hey, Brad, I'm Ron, I used to work with you, and also introduce to me so I can try to help Brad remember later on. You used to work
Right.
with him. His name was Ron or Rob or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I'll be able to say, that's how come they know him, and try to put 2 and 2 together
Yeah.
that
That's true.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
used to work with Brad. Thank you for working with him, and thank you for
Yeah.
all those years of supporting him and understanding that work.
I think that is so
component.
very important because in this society, we're so used to going, "Hi, Courtney, how are ya?"
Right.
And it's taken that brief second to say, "Hi, Courtney, I'm Barb." You know, we've done many shows together on, or whatever. Just that real brief, it takes a second. But how it impacts the situation instead of creating that little bit of extra tension or
Yeah.
unsure, you're creating an environment. Oh, okay, we now know the connection. Thank you for being part of our lives and
Yeah.
impacting them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
that works.
that works.
It does work.
Good.
It helps.
Yeah, and I think that's really important for people out there to know because I think we absolutely just forget.
Yeah.
You know, I would think, and I'm going to ask you this. I would think it would be hard if people would come up and say, "Hey, Paula, I'm Barb. Do you remember when?" I always say, leave that word "remember" completely out of the conversation. Say,
Yeah.
"Hi, Paula, I'm Barb. We used to do this together," instead of.
Yeah.
Would you agree that when you hear that, do you remember when you're going, what, where are you taking me? I'm not sure.
Yeah, that quizzing piece is a challenge for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. So
Trying
if
to
you just
avoid.
fill that in, it is so very, very important
That's
to
a
do
good
that.
point. Yeah.
Yeah, so remember that as you go out there. Let's talk about, we talked about a little bit of the joys. What have been some of the more challenges that you have faced? And just so, I really want people to know that as you go through this journey, and I think you guys have been exemplary in it so far, you are choosing to try to find the joy in each day. And it doesn't mean that each day is completely joyful. There are moments that aren't so strong or so good. So what have been some more of the challenges in that you continue to work on?
Some of
I
the
run.
yeah, Brad likes to run,
Yep.
but he'll get running done in the morning, and then later on in the day, the duffel bag's packed again to go running.
Oh, you like to run, so you're set to go a couple times a day,
A couple times a day, but I have to remind him, A, you already did it,
right?
and B,
That's right.
my day gets hijacked
Yes.
because now I have to unpack the duffel bag. I have to
Right.
remind him, take your running shoes off. I have
Right.
to remind him, we already did that. And
Yeah.
so everything I was maybe going to do today
Yes.
has to stop.
Right.
Has to get paused.
Right.
And a lot of times he's out the door and in the garage ready to mow or shovel or something, and I have to scramble and
Yeah.
run after him
Yeah.
out the door because
He's still,
we already
Go on,
did
go.
that today,
Yeah.
and we don't have to do it again.
yeah, so he's still recalling what he needs to do. He's just not recalling that you have done it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that brings up, let's do this final point and then we're going to wrap up. I think that's a very important part. I don't know if the audience really heard it. You have to walk him through. So imagine that. And I've heard this from other people with have taken the journey. As they go through this journey, what used to be normal, and they would just go check, check, check. Now you are saying, Brad, we already did that. Now I have to unpack the bag. I have to say, no, Brad, we did the mowing. I even think of simple things like we have to brush our teeth. There'll come a time where you'll be saying, we need the toothbrush. And I'm sure he'll look
Yeah.
at you like, what?
Right.
right?
That's right.
Yeah, so she'll go and help you with the toothbrush.
Yeah.
Those things that we take for granted, your day has been completely changed, and you're so lovingly willing to walk that. And Brad is so kind to follow your direction and walk through that day together.
And it's a lot of times I yell at him. It's not always easy.
No,
Yeah.
no.
But you're right. It's, did you brush your teeth? Did you floss your teeth? Did
Yeah.
you, shave today? Because,
It's all things that
Yeah.
we just automatically do, and now there's been 10 to 20 steps added to that process
yeah.
that we take for granted.
Yeah.
But you walk those extra 10 to 20 steps to make your day better
Yeah.
and more joyful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And when I make him play pickleball,
Pickleball.
you guys, that's a really fun thing. And after
Yes.
we're all said and done, he'll go, "That was fun." And I'm like, "Yes, I know, it was fun, wasn't it?"
Yeah,
And so,
he gets a little running in the pickleball.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
little quick movement, right?
yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I wish you well on your journey.
Thank you.
I
Thank
wish
you.
that you guys continue to be out in the community. I thank you so much for sharing your story.
Yep.
It's always hard to share those stories, but you have impacted so many lives out there for being willing to share the journey.
Absolutely.
So thank you for that. Courtney,
Yes.
thank you for coming on.
Yes, thanks for
Brad and
having me.
Paula, thank you so much
Yeah.
again.
Thank you.
Yeah.